Serbia and Montenegro, Srbija Gora, officially the State Union of Serbia and Montenegro, was a country in Southeast Europe, created from the two remaining republics of Yugoslavia after its breakup in 1991. The republics of Serbia and Montenegro together established a federation in 1992 as the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. The FRA aspired to be a sole legal successor to the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, but those claims were opposed by other former republics. The United Nations also denied its request to automatically continue the membership of the former state. Eventually, after the overthrow of Slobodan Milosevic from power as president of the federation in 2000, the country rescinded those aspirations and accepted the opinion of the Badinter Arbitration Committee about shared succession. It reapplied for UN membership on the 27th of October and was admitted on the 1st of November 2000. The FRA was initially dominated by Slobodan Milosevic as president of Serbia and then president of Yugoslavia. Milosevic installed and forced the removal of several federal presidents and prime ministers. However, the Montenegrin government, initially enthusiastic supporters of Milosevic, started gradually distancing themselves from his policies, that culminated in regime change in 1996 to 1998, when his former ally Milo Đukanović reversed his policies, became leader of Montenegro's ruling party, and subsequently dismissed former Montenegrin leader Muma Bulatović, who remained loyal to the Milosevic government. As Bulatović was given central positions in Belgrade from that time, Đukanović continued to govern Montenegro and further isolated it from Serbia, so that from 1996 to 2006, Montenegro and Serbia were only nominally one country. Governance at every feasible level was conducted locally. A loose union, Serbia and Montenegro were united only in certain realms, such as defense. The two constituent republics functioned separately throughout the period of the Federal Republic, and continued to operate under separate economic policies, as well as using separate currencies. On the 21st of May 2006, the Montenegrin independence referendum was held, and 55.5% of voters voted in favor of independence. The state union came to an end after Montenegro's formal declaration of independence on the 3rd of June 2006, and Serbia's formal declaration of independence on the 5th of June. After the dissolution, Serbia became the legal successor of the Union, while Montenegro reapplied for membership in international organizations. History. With the collapse of the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia during the 1990s, only the republics of Serbia and Montenegro agreed to maintain the Yugoslav state, and established a new constitution for a new Yugoslavia in 1992. With the collapse of communism across Eastern Europe, the new state followed the wave of democratic change. It abandoned former communist symbolism. The red star was removed from the national flag, and the communist coat of arms was replaced by a white double-headed eagle with the arms of both Serbia and Montenegro within it. The new state also abandoned the collective presidency of the former SFRY and replaced it with the system consisting of a single president, who was initially appointed with the consent of the republics of Serbia and Montenegro until 1997, after which the president was democratically elected. Foundation. With the collapse of the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia and its institutions from 1991 to 1992, the issue of unity of the two republics remaining in the collapsing federation, Serbia-Montenegro, as well as Serb-majority territories in Croatia and Bosnia that wished to remain united, became an issue. In 1991, diplomatic talks chaired by Lord Lord Carrington with the leaders of the 6 republics of the collapsing federation, resulted in all the republics except for Serbia agreeing that Yugoslavia had collapsed and that each republic should become an independent state. The Serbian government was surprised and outraged by Montenegro's decision in favor of terminating Yugoslavia, as the Bulatović government had previously been closely allied with Milosevic's government in Serbia. Yugoslavia's collapse began in 1991 when Slovenia, Croatia, and the Republic of Macedonia declared independence. On the 26th of December 1991, Serbia, Montenegro, and the Serb rebel-held territories in Croatia agreed that they would form a new, third Yugoslavia. Efforts were also made in 1991 to include senior Bosnia and Herzegovina within the federation, with negotiations between Milosevic, Bosnia's Serbian Democratic Party, and the Bosniak proponent of union, Bosnia's Vice President Adil Zulfikar Pasic, taking place on this matter. Zulfikar Pasic believed that Bosnia could benefit from a union with Serbia, Montenegro, and Krajina. Thus he supported a union which would secure the unity of Serbs and Bosniaks. Milosevic continued negotiations with Zulfikar Pasic to include Bosnia within a new Yugoslavia. However, efforts to include the whole of Bosnia within a new Yugoslavia effectively terminated by late 1991, as Izetbegovic planned to hold a referendum on independence while the Bosnian Serbs and Bosnian Croats formed autonomous territories. Yugoslav wars. The FRY was suspended from a number of international institutions. This was due to the ongoing Yugoslav wars during the 1990s, which had prevented agreement being reached on the disposition of federal assets and liabilities, particularly the national debt. The government of Yugoslavia supported Croatian and Bosnian Serbs in the wars from 1992 to 1995. Because of that, the country was under economic and political sanctions, which resulted in economic disaster that forced thousands of its young citizens to emigrate from the country. In a BBC documentary called The Death of Yugoslavia, and later in his testimony before the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia during the trial of Slobodan Milosevic, Yugoslav official Boris Savjovic revealed that the Bosnian Serb army arose from the Yugoslav army forces in Bosnia and Herzegovina. He claimed that he had realized that Bosnia and Herzegovina was about to be recognized by the international community, and since Yugoslav People's Army troops were still located there at that point, the presence on Bosnian territory could have led to the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia being accused of aggression. To avoid this, he and Milosevic decided to move all JNA soldiers originating from Serbia and Montenegro back into Serbia and Montenegro, and to move all JNA soldiers of Bosnian Serb descent to Bosnia and Herzegovina. In this way, every Bosnian Serb was transferred from the Yugoslav army to what became the newly created Bosnian Serb Army. Through this, the Bosnian Serb Army also received extensive military equipment and full funding from the FRY, as the Bosnian Serb faction alone could not pay for the costs. Furthermore, Serbian Radical Party founder and paramilitary Vojislav Šešelj claimed that President Milosevic personally asked him to send paramilitaries into Bosnia and Herzegovina. In 1995, Serbian President Slobodan Milosevic represented the FRY and Bosnian Serbs at peace talks in Dayton, Ohio, U.S., which negotiated the end of war in Bosnia with the Dayton Agreement. growing separatism in Montenegro. From 1996, the first public signs of political discord between parts of Montenegrin leadership and the Serbian leadership began to appear. By 1998, simultaneously with Montenegrin Prime Minister Milo Đukanović coming out on top in the power struggle with Montenegrin President Mama Bulatović, the republic undertook a different economic policy by adopting the Deutsche Mark as its currency. During autumn 1999, following the Kosovo War and the NATO bombing campaign, Đukanović drafted a document called Platforma za redefiniciju odnosa crne or Serbia, calling for major changes in the division of governing responsibilities within FR Yugoslavia, though still officially seeing Montenegro within a joint state with Serbia. Milosevic did not respond to the platform, considering it unconstitutional. Political relations within the federal state became more and more strained, especially against the backdrop of the wave of assassinations against top figures from political, criminal, and state business circles in both republics. By October 2000, Milosevic had lost power in Serbia. Contrary to expectation, Đukanovic's response to the power change in Belgrade was not to further push the agenda outlined in his platform, but instead to suddenly start pushing for full independence, thus completely dropping the platform in the process. Subsequent governments of Montenegro carried out pro-independence policies, and political tensions with Serbia simmered despite political changes in Belgrade. Kosovo War with Milosevic's second and last legal term as Serbian president expiring in 1997, he ran for, and was elected president of Yugoslavia in 1997. Upon taking office, Milosevic gained direct control of the Yugoslav military and security forces, and directed them to engage Kosovo separatists. The conflict escalated from 1998 to 1999 and became known as the Kosovo War. Yugoslav forces committed a series of atrocities in Kosovo to prevent ethnic cleansing. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, under the leadership of the United States, began an air campaign called Operation Allied Force against Yugoslav military forces and positions and suspected Serbian paramilitaries. The air attacks against Belgrade by NATO were the first attacks on the city since World War II. Some of the worst massacres against civilian Albanians by Serbian forces occurred after NATO started its bombing of Yugoslavia. The Serbian police and paramilitaries also committed massacres during the war, including the Kuska massacre and the Podujevo massacre. NATO promised to end its bombings of Yugoslavia when Milosevic agreed to withdraw all Yugoslav and Serb security forces from Kosovo. After an array of bombings, Milosevic submitted and recalled all forces, and NATO peacekeepers entered Kosovo. State Union. In 2002, Serbia and Montenegro came to a new agreement regarding continued cooperation, which, among other changes, promised the end of the name Yugoslavia, since they were part of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. On the 4th of February 2003, the Federal Parliament of Yugoslavia created a loose state union, the State Union of Serbia and Montenegro. A new constitutional charter was agreed to provide a framework for the governance of the country. On Sunday, the 21st of May 2006, Montenegrins voted in an independence referendum with 55.5% supporting independence. 55% or more of affirmative votes were needed to dissolve the State Union of Serbia and Montenegro. The turnout was 86.3% and 99.73% 50% of the more than 477,000 votes cast were deemed valid. The subsequent Montenegrin proclamation of independence on June 2006 and the Serbian proclamation of independence on 5 June ended the state union of Serbia and Montenegro, and thus the last remaining vestiges of the former Yugoslavia. Politics. The Federal Assembly of FRI was composed of two chambers, the Council of Citizens and the Council of Republics, whereas the Council of Citizens served as an ordinary assembly representing the people of FRI. The Council of Republics was made equally by representatives from the Federation's constituent republics, to ensure federal equality. Under the FRI, the old collective presidency of the SFRY was dissolved and a single president was elected. The status of leadership of the federal Yugoslav president was unstable, with no president lasting more than 4 years in office. The first president from 1992 to 1993 was Dobrica Kozic, a former communist Yugoslav partisan during World War II and later one of the fringe contributors of the controversial Memorandum of the Serbian Academy of Sciences and Arts. Despite being head of the country, Kozic was forced out of office in 1993 due to his opposition to Serbian President Slobodan Milosevic. Kozic was replaced by Zoran Linic, who served from 1993 to 1997, and then followed by Milosevic, becoming Yugoslav president in 1997 after his last legal term as Serbian president ended in 1997. The presidential election in 2000 was accused of being the result of vote fraud. Yugoslav citizens took to the streets and engaged in riots in Belgrade demanding that Milosevic be removed from power. Shortly afterwards, Milosevic resigned and Vojislav Koštunica took over as Yugoslav president and remained president until the state's reconstitution as the State Union of Serbia and Montenegro. Federal Prime Minister Milan Panic became frustrated with Milosevic's domineering behavior during diplomatic talks in 1992, and told Milosevic to shut up because Milosevic's position was officially subordinate to his position. Milosevic later forced Panic to resign. However, this situation changed after 1997 when Milosevic's second and last legal term as Serbian president ended. He then had himself elected federal president, thus entrenching the power that he already de facto held. After the federation was reconstituted as a state union, the new Assembly of the State Union was created. It was unicameral and was made up of 126 deputies, of which 91 were from Serbia and 35 were from Montenegro. The assembly convened in the building of the old Federal Assembly of FRI, which now houses the National Assembly of Serbia. In 2003, after the constitutional changes, new president of Serbia and Montenegro was elected. Svetozar Marović was the first and last president of Serbia and Montenegro until its breakup in 2006. Administrative divisions. Serbia and Montenegro was composed of 4 principal political units, consisting of 2 republics and 2 subordinate autonomous provinces: Serbia, Kosovo and Metohija, autonomous province within Serbia. Under United Nations administration from June 1999 Kumanovo Agreement, Vojvodina, autonomous province within Serbia. Montenegro. Serbia. The territorial organization of the Republic of Serbia was regulated by the Law on Territorial Organization and Local Self-Government, adopted in the Assembly of Serbia on 24 July 1991. Under the law, the municipalities, cities and settlements make the bases of the territorial organization. Serbia was divided into 195 municipalities and 4 cities, which were the basic units of local autonomy. It had two autonomous provinces, Kosovo and Metohija in the south, which was under the administration of UNMIK after 1999, and Vojvodina in the north. The territory between Kosovo and Vojvodina was called Central Serbia. Central Serbia was not an administrative division on its own and had no regional government of its own. In addition, there were four cities, Belgrade, Nis, Novi Sad and Kragujevac, each having an assembly and budget of its own. The cities comprised several municipalities, divided into urban and other competencies of cities, and the municipalities were divided. Municipalities were gathered into districts, which are regional centers of state authority, but have no assemblies of their own. They present purely administrative divisions, and host various state institutions such as funds, office branches and courts. The Republic of Serbia was then and is still today divided into 29 districts, while the city of Belgrade presents a district of its own. Montenegro was divided into 21 municipalities. Geography. Serbia and Montenegro had an area of 102,350 square kilometers, with 199 kilometers of coastline. The terrain of the two republics is extremely varied, with much of Serbia comprising plains and low hills, and much of Montenegro consisting of high mountains. Serbia is entirely landlocked, with the coastline belonging to Montenegro. The climate is similarly varied. The north has a continental climate, the central region has a combination of a continental and Mediterranean climate, the southern region had an Adriatic climate along the coast, with inland regions experiencing hot, dry summers and autumns and relatively cold winters with heavy snowfall inland. Belgrade, with its population of 1,574,050, is the largest city in the two nations, and the only one of significant size. The country's other principal cities were Novi Sad, Nis, Kragujevac, Podgorica, Subotica, Pristina, and Prizren, each with populations of about 100,000–250,000 people. Demographics. Serbia and Montenegro had more demographic variety than most other European countries. The three largest named nationalities were Serbs, Albanians and Montenegrins according to the 1991 census. The country also had significant populations of Hungarians, Yugoslavs, Muslims, Roma, Croats, Bulgarians, Macedonians, Romanians, Vlachs and others. Most of the ethnic diversity was situated in the provinces of Kosovo and Vojvodina, where smaller numbers of other minority groups could be found. The large Albanian population was chiefly concentrated in Kosovo, with smaller populations in the Preservo Valley, and in the Ulcinj municipality. The Muslims population lived mostly in the federal border region. Total Serbia-Montenegro 10,019,657 Serbia 9,396,411 Vojvodina. Central Serbia, Kosovo 1,800,000 Montenegro 623,246. Major cities 2002 data: Beograd 1,280,639, Novi Sad 215,600, Pristina 200,000, Nis 173,390, Kragujevac 145,890, Podgorica 139,500, Prizren 121,000, Subotica 99,471. According to a 2004 estimate, the state union had 10,825,900 inhabitants. According to a July 2006 estimate, the state union had 10,832,545 inhabitants. Economy. The FR Yugoslavia suffered significantly economically due to the loss of previous territories of the SFRY to the seceding states and due to mismanagement of the economy, and an extended period of economic sanctions. In the early 1990s, the FRY suffered from hyperinflation of the Yugoslav dinar. By the mid-1990s, the FRY had overcome the inflation. Further damage to Yugoslavia's infrastructure and industry caused by the Kosovo War left the economy only half the size it was in 1990. Since the ousting of former federal Yugoslav President Slobodan Milosevic in October 2000, the democratic opposition of Serbia coalition government has implemented stabilization measures and embarked on an aggressive market reform program. After renewing its membership in the International Monetary Fund in December 2000, Yugoslavia continued to reintegrate with other world nations by rejoining the World Bank and the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. The smaller Republic of Montenegro severed its economy from federal control and from Serbia during the Milosevic era. Afterwards, the two republics had separate central banks whilst Montenegro began to use different currencies. It first adopted the Deutsche Mark and continued to use it until the mark fell into disuse to be replaced by the euro. Serbia continued to use the Yugoslav dinar, renaming it the Serbian dinar. The complexity of the FRY's political relationships, slow progress in privatization, and stagnation in the European economy were detrimental to the economy. Their arrangements with the IMF, especially requirements for fiscal discipline, were an important element in policy formation. Severe unemployment was a key political and economic problem. Corruption also presented a major problem, with a large black market and a high degree of criminal involvement in the formal economy. Transport. Serbia, and in particular the valley of the Mirava, is often described as the crossroads between the East and the West, one of the primary reasons for its turbulent history. The valley is by far the easiest land route from continental Europe to Greece and Asia Minor. Until the outbreak of the Yugoslav wars, the once named highway Bratstvo-i-Jedinstvo, running through Croatia, Serbia and the Republic of Macedonia, was one of Europe's most important transport arteries. It gradually resumed this role as the security situation stabilized. Major international highways going through Serbia are E75 and E70. E763, E761 is the most important route connecting Serbia with Montenegro. The Danube, an important international waterway, flows through Serbia. The port of Bar was the largest seaport located in Montenegro. Holidays. Holidays celebrated only in Serbia the 15th of February, Sretanj. Holidays celebrated only in Montenegro the 13th of July, Statehood Day. Proposed flag and anthem. After the formation of Serbia and Montenegro, the Yugoslav tricolour was to be replaced by a new compromised flag. Article 23 of the law for the implementation of the Constitutional Charter stated that a law specifying the new flag was to be passed within 60 days of the first session of the new joint parliament. Among the flag proposals, the popular choice was a flag with a shade of blue in between the Serbian tricolour and the Montenegrin tricolour of 1993 to 2004. The colour shade Pantone 300C was perceived as the best choice. However, the Parliament failed to vote on the proposal within the legal time frame and the flag was not adopted. In 2004, Montenegro adopted a radically different flag, as its independence-leaning government sought to distance itself from Serbia. Proposals for a compromised flag were dropped after this, and the Union of Serbia and Montenegro never adopted a flag. A similar fate befell the country's anthem and coat of arms to be. The above-mentioned Article 23 also stipulated that a law determining the state union's flag and anthem was to be passed by the end of 2003. The official proposal for an anthem was a combination piece consisting of one verse of the Serbian anthem, Bože Pravdi, followed by a verse of the Montenegrin anthem, Oj Svijetla Majska Zoro. This proposal was dropped after some public opposition, notably by Serbian Patriarch Pavle. Another legal deadline passed and no anthem was adopted. Serious proposals for the coat of arms were never put forward, probably because the coat of arms of the FRY, adopted in 1994 combining Serbian and Montenegrin heraldic elements, was considered adequate. Thus, the state union never officially adopted state symbols and continued to use the flag and anthem of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia by inertia, until its dissolution in 2006.